José the Headless Man. Written by Gabriela Pavez. Read to you by Sarah Luke. Summer 2014. I was camping near Huara, a little town lost in the Tarapacá region. My breath was taken away every time I admired the amazing landscape. I was not only watching, I was listening to a group called Quilapayún. There was something in their songs that kept me wondering how that piece of land looked during the saltpeter time. If I had to describe that place, I would probably use a verse from Quilapayún's song. If you stare at the plain and its corners, you will see the dryness of the silence, the ground without miracle, and the empty offices, just like the last desert. I fell in love, but this relationship with that land only lasted for 3 days. Everything was beautiful until the third night in Huara. That night, I went to a shop in front of the main church. Doña Juanita was closing her shop. I looked at my watch. 9 p.m. Why is she closing? I hurried up and I barely reached Doña Juanita. Then I asked, Doña Juanita, please, let me buy some fruits. I'm starving. She looked at me, then she looked in the direction of the church. Don't look back, dear. Don't you know that today is January the 8th? I wasn't surprised. I knew that it was January the 8th. I looked at her and smiled. Doña Juanita, it doesn't matter to me. I'm having such a great time, I've forgotten times and dates. Those mangoes look exquisite. I didn't have time, honestly, to pick one mango when she said, in horror, Dear, please go back. José is just about to come. I say, you wouldn't like to see him. I mean, maybe that could be your last time. That was just awful. Was José her husband? Who was José? I looked at her, but my lips didn't mark a smile. I walked to the campsite. Next day, everything was different. This is where José becomes the most awful name ever heard. I went to a friend, Bastian. He was really good at history. He was telling me everything about Huara, the saltpeter's offices, and the greatness of this region. I knocked on his door several times. No one answered. This was quite worrying. The town was like a ghost town, and I didn't like it. Was I alone? No. And you will find out what happened after I tell you a story about José. Let's go back in time. Imagine you are reading this in a very old book. Then you look up and there is your mother. She's reading the newspaper. See the date? Yes, we are on January the 6th, 1906. Now you have to pretend to be just an observer. Outside is sunny and so hot that you need to go for a glass of water. On your way to the kitchen, you see 3 men. All of them are happy and jumping with joy. Why are they happy? It's so hot. I would probably think that. You stop staring at them when your mother calls you. Guess what? It's me waiting for you. We're going to school. On our way, you tell me about your father. He's worried because several assaults have been happening near your house. Calm down, reader. Nothing is going to happen. On January the 8th, we were on our way to school when the guy from the news started announcing the headlines. We stopped, cold as ice, when we heard the main story. A headless man was found at the back of the church. Headless man? We were scared. Nothing like that had ever happened in this town. This poor man was murdered for money. He was Bolivian. He, with 2 other men, were assaulting officers during December 1905. The other 2 men were so ambitious they did not want to share their profit with the Bolivian man. So they decided to cut his head off. I remembered you were with your eyes wide open as we were reading the news. His name was José the Headless Man. A few weeks after the news, strange things started happening. His head was never found. So let me ask you something. If you lose something important, would you search for that thing? Maybe yes, maybe no. José was determined to get his head back. But wait, he's dead, right? Now let's come back to the present. You're standing in front of me, not like a friend. You're kind of lost. You cannot see me, but you know that I'm there. During that night, when I left Doña Juanita's shop, I met a man. I was just like you. I was standing in front of that man, not like a friend. I was kind of lost. I could not see him, but I knew that he was there. The last thing that I remembered was me lying at the back of the church. I didn't know what happened. I went to see Bastian to ask him what had happened. No one answered his door. I turned back and felt the man's presence. He told me, "Hi, I'm Jose," and I found it. When I looked, I saw my face. I saw my face on Jose's body. My face. Now look around. What do you see? Maybe you cannot see me. Maybe you're thinking that this is not real. But let me ask you one thing. How do I know that you're reading this in a room, in a building? Don't be afraid. I've lost my head. Now I'm using yours to tell my story.